Have you ever noticed how two people can face the same setback, yet respond completely differently? One falls apart, while the other stays steady and moves forward. The difference is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is something deeper. Psychologists have studied this for years, and what they found changes how we understand mental strength. It is not something you are born with.
It is shaped by how you think in moments of pressure and how you interpret difficulty. Some minds get overwhelmed. Others become more stable under the same weight. In this video, you will understand what creates that difference and how an unbreakable mind is actually built.
The idea of mental strength is often misunderstood. Many people think it means being emotionless, fearless, or constantly motivated. But in reality, that is not how the mind works. Even the strongest people experience doubt, stress, and moments of pressure. The difference is not the absence of struggle, but how they relate to it. Instead of being controlled by every thought or emotion, they learn to observe, pause, and respond with clarity. Mental resilience is not built in extreme moments. It is built in everyday decisions, in how you handle discomfort, and in how you interpret challenges. Before we go deeper, it is important to understand this foundation, because everything that follows is built on it.
Most people think pressure changes them in the moment, but in reality, pressure only reveals what has already been practiced over time. When life becomes difficult, you do not suddenly become a different person. You fall back into familiar mental patterns. If you have practiced avoidance, you will avoid. If you have practiced overthinking, you will overthink. And if you have practiced staying calm and focused, that is exactly what shows up under stress. This is why some people appear naturally strong in difficult situations. It is not because they are fearless. It is because their mind has been trained through repetition. Pressure does not create your response. It exposes it. One of the biggest differences between mentally strong and mentally overwhelmed people is how they treat their emotions. Most people assume that every feeling they experience is accurate and should be acted on immediately. But feelings are not instructions. They are signals. They reflect what is happening inside you, not necessarily what is true about reality. Mentally strong people understand this gap. They notice their emotions, but they do not blindly follow them. Instead of reacting instantly, they pause and create space between feeling and action. That small pause changes everything. It allows them to respond with clarity instead of being controlled by temporary emotional states. Over time, this habit creates stability, even in situations that feel uncertain or intense. Most people don't realize that avoiding discomfort has a cost. It feels harmless in the moment, but over time, it quietly weakens your ability to handle pressure. Every time you choose the easier option, you are not just avoiding effort, you are training your mind to expect comfort. And when life eventually becomes uncomfortable, it feels overwhelming instead of manageable. Mentally strong people understand this pattern early.
They do not chase constant comfort. Instead, they allow small, controlled discomfort into their daily life. Not because they enjoy it, but because they understand what it builds. Strength is not created in moments of ease. It is built in moments where you stay present, even when you would rather escape.
Another key difference in mentally strong people is where they place their attention. Most stress does not come from problems themselves, but from focusing on things that cannot be controlled. Other people's opinions, past mistakes, uncertain outcomes, these are all outside your control. Mentally strong people gradually train themselves to separate what they can influence from what they cannot. They do not waste energy arguing with reality. Instead, they redirect their focus to action, effort, and response. This shift creates a sense of stability, even when circumstances are uncertain. Because when your attention is fixed on what you can control, pressure feels lighter and decisions become clearer. Most people see failure as a final judgment on their ability, but mentally strong people interpret it differently. To them, failure is not an identity, it is information. It shows what did not work, what needs adjustment, and where attention is required next. This shift in interpretation changes everything. Instead of withdrawing after failure, they stay engaged with the process. They do not turn one setback into a story about their worth. They treat it as part of learning. Over time, this mindset reduces fear. And when fear reduces, action becomes more consistent. This is why failure does not break them. It refines them instead of defining them. Mentally strong people do not rely on motivation to carry them forward. They understand that motivation is inconsistent. It rises and falls depending on mood, energy, and circumstances. If you depend on it, your progress will always be unstable. Instead, they build systems, simple routines, and repeatable actions that continue even when motivation is low. They do not ask how they feel before acting. They follow what they have already decided to do. This removes decision fatigue and emotional resistance. Over time, the system becomes stronger than the mood, and that is what creates real consistency. Not inspiration, but structure. Not intensity, but repetition. Mental strength is not a single decision. It is a pattern built over time through how you think, respond, and act in everyday situations. Pressure does not create a strong mind. It reveals it. Emotions are not commands. They are signals. Discomfort is not something to escape. It is something that shapes you. And failure is not an ending. It is part of learning. When you begin to understand these patterns, you stop seeing yourself as someone who is either strong or weak. Instead, you start seeing mental strength as something you practice, not perfectly, but consistently. And that is where real change begins.